Hey everybody, how's it going? Great to see you all. Happy Saturday. And really excited to have back on the webcast here, Amy Baltes. She's a registered dietitian and she does a lot of functional nutrition. She helps athletes. She helps people who are sick, people who are healthy to get even healthier, does things with weight loss, hormone dysfunctions, you name it. There's so many things that she's helped people with. And it's such an honor to have you back here today, Amy. Hello.
Hello, thanks for having me again, Dr. Nate. It was so fun the first time, so I'm excited to do it again.
Yeah, it was. Absolutely. So before we get started, why don't we just really quickly, for the people that are catching this one but didn't catch the last one, why don't we just quickly, just briefly go over, so the topic, just for all of you who are on here right now, we were going to go through the top 10 things you can do right now during this time to not just survive, but to thrive and to get your whole system, not just your immune system, but your whole system and your vitality at working at top notch, working optimally, right? And
Right.
so last time we went over the first 5 of those top 10. So Amy, why don't you just briefly go over those and unpack those a little bit before we get into the last 5.
All right, and what's really cool about this is they kind of all intertwine and interconnect, and our bottom 5 are going to kind of only enhance the top 5 because
Right.
the top 5 are pretty important. And of course, the first one is so important: is drink more water. We all have our water. However you do that, cold, warm, straw, big container, little container. Super fun to maybe have contests in your house right now. Great way to do that. Number 2, eat less processed food. You know, this is a time where we're getting in the kitchen, we're cooking. So try to eat things in their more natural state, less food labels, more real whole plants, lots of plants, eat more fruits and vegetables. The key to, we could talk about it until we're blue in the face, but the more fruits and vegetables you eat, the better your body works, the better everything functions. They're a powerhouse. I can talk about it for hours and hours and hours.
And so Amy, last time, I think what were you saying? You said people should be eating between, was it 8 to 12 servings or 7
7 to 13. 7 to 13 servings
servings
of
of
fruits
fruit
and
and
vegetables a day.
vegetables every day? Awesome. And then you also mentioned, what was that magic formula that we were all supposed to do? I know it, but I'm asking you to say it in terms of how much water to drink per body weight.
1 ounce per pound of body weight. So, as much as you can. You know, if you weigh 150 pounds, you need 150 ounces of water a day. If you're a heavy sweater, you need more. You know, if you're working out, you need a little bit more, but 1 ounce per pound of body weight. We need a lot. It's our
Yeah.
detoxifier.
Yep. Awesome. And a little lemon in there, a little lemon juice.
Lemon. Got
Also
my lemon. I got my lemon right here. Lemon. Great source of vitamin C, natural immune booster.
Yep.
Good stuff.
And like you said, it does kind of kickstart your digestive system too as well.
Yeah, it does. Great way to start your morning.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. And I always like to say this, someone said this once to me, it's good if you stay around the outside of the grocery store.
Yeah, always. The perimeter of the grocery store. Sometimes I do my field trips through the middle to see just what's on there. And what's really interesting is they keep the less nutrient, I won't say crappy foods, but crappy foods. The less nutrient dense foods on the very bottom where kids see it, and it makes it even harder for them to resist because of their packaging and whatnot. It's so depending on where it's at too, makes a big difference in the marketing of what it is. But
yeah, they know how to
of the grocery store.
Absolutely. Awesome. How about number 4?
Number 4 is eat more fiber. Fiber is what gets the body moving, gets it going, keeps our digestive system healthy, it's a prebiotic, really helps with, again, our immune system, immune booster. And those high fiber foods contain so much nutrition. You know, my favorites are lentils, beans, big high fiber, and then whole grains, things like oats, oatmeal, one of my favorites. Start your day with high fiber, nutrient dense foods. It's that fiber is really just makes a big difference, and we need about 25 grams of fiber per day.
Okay, cool. Awesome. That's right. Yeah, we talked about that, and then just talked about how important it is, with a lot of those things to, take, if you're eating a lot of beans, just rinse the beans, because a lot of the stuff that's in there, the byproduct, is what gives people gassiness. I know that there's a lot of people avoid avoid beans and other legumes because of that. But it's like, well, no, just rinse it and prepare it properly, or
Right.
buy.
Now, introduce it really slowly too. So if you haven't been eating them at all, don't go and eat like 3 cups of beans in one day. That might, cause a little GI distress.
Right.
But if you're, a little bit slower, my 2 favorite beans to start with are white beans and black beans. They contain, a lesser amount of that starch that our body doesn't break down and digest. And that gas actually just comes from because there's so much fiber in there. And so if you do it slowly, kind of builds it up into the system. And then you get
Absolutely.
used to it, and then you don't have the issue anymore.
Right. Yeah, and if you actually look at the way that our GI tract is set up and everything, our GI tract is designed to have lots of fiber in it. Lots of fiber in it. So
Lots of fiber binds things, gets rid of things, pulls things out. So when you do eat, that's the beauty of when you eat really well. Then when you eat something that's not so good for us, your body actually has all the tools it needs to get rid of it.
right.
And our digestive system is, the more we learn about our digestive system, is that fancy term that everybody's hearing about is microbiome, is that lining of our digestive system is powerful. Anti-inflammatory, our neurotransmitters that make us feel good. So our chemicals in our brain, our dopamine, serotonin, norepinephrine, produced in the lining of our digestive system. Melatonin is produced in the lining of our digestive system, helps us fall asleep at night.
Yeah.
Anti-inflammatories, all your things are produced in that lining. And the more fiber, the healthier it is. Our immune system, the very core of how our body works and gets rid of viruses, stems from our digestive system.
Absolutely. And you've said it before, and I know a lot of naturopaths that will say it. They're like, listen, if you want to get healthy, you have to look at the gut first. You have to fix the gut. If you can fix the gut, you can fix a lot of issues, a lot of inflammatory things, even things like, type 2 diabetes, have been shown to be largely an inflammatory disease. People that work out, take care of their body, but they still have it. A lot of those people, they just don't have a healthy gut, and they need to get that gut working again and kind of shore things up,
Right.
So
What's
awesome.
really, one more thing to kind of comment a little bit about the gut is, what's really interesting is the more and more we learn about it. So just like with science, is it starts from when you're very young. So the difference between whether you are born via C-section or versus a vaginal birth, where you formula fed or breastfed, and there's, again, nothing wrong, but it is what it is. But all those things help to enhance your digestive system and your immunity and all that. And it starts from the moment you're born.
Absolutely. Yeah. Great. How about number 5, Amy?
Number 5, exercise. If exercise could be packed in a pill, it'd be the number 1 prescribed medication given today. Get out, get moving, get some sun. Your body needs, your body is meant to move, and it needs to move. And that's what I love about the combination between nutrition and chiropractic care, is because the goal of them is to get to the underlying reason why something's not working and get it working like it's supposed to, because our body is so resilient.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Beautiful marriage.
It is indeed. So those are the first 5. And so what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and go over the next 5. All right. And so Amy's going to talk about, I'm just going to outline it briefly. We're going to talk about planning out your meals and snacks, getting enough sleep, being aware of when you're eating emotionally, and avoiding that. And then we're going to talk about supplements. She's going to go over that in depth, and just, what the purpose they serve is, and talking about quality and just research behind them. And so how to select a good supplement for yourself. And then just talking about de-stressing and laughing more. So Amy, why don't you take us right into those things?
All right. So let's first talk about planning. We don't really fail. We don't plan to fail. We fail to plan. And this is just such a good time to get into a new rhythm with spending a little bit more time at home, a little more kitchen, getting, if you have kids, getting your kids involved in the kitchen, trying and experimenting with new and different things. But when you kind of know what you're going to eat, it makes it easier to make healthy food choices. And some people plan in a couple different ways, getting a calendar out. What are you going to eat every night? Or, okay, here's the 6 or 7 things that I'm going to be eating during the week. Trying some new and different things like breakfast ideas of overnight oats, and pre-making egg little egg bakes. There's a lot of things that you can do that meal prep makes it easier so you don't have to think about it. Because sometimes it's the thinking about it that's the process. It saves money, it saves time, and it gets a lot more or better nutrition into your body when it's planned in.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, I know that for me, and probably for a lot of you watching this, I know that if I don't have something planned and ready to go, and it's so nice if you can prep, because when you have it prepped, when you're hungry, you make it. You know, I think that for a lot of us, you know, you open up, you, you eat like 10 or 15 chips or something like that out of the bag, only while deciding whether or not you want to eat chips. Like you've already eaten those 10 to 15 chips. I know I have, and I do that a lot.
Right.
And it's so easy to snack and start putting things that are not great into your body when you don't have that plan and you haven't. So it's funny the way you said it. You know, you said fail to plan, or yeah, you said it's not.
We
You said
don't plan to fail, we fail to plan.
right, but the funny thing is it works the other way, right? If you fail to plan, then plan to fail because you will, right?
Right.
So
Right.
I just think that that's a really really good piece of advice, and I think the current times we're living in, you know, I think a lot of us are going to the grocery store and going on and doing our shopping a lot less because you know there's an inherent fear
Right.
of just you know catching something at the grocery store and you know, it's kind of a different world out there now. Everybody's wearing masks and gloves at the grocery store and whatnot. And so it feels like you're going into this place that's like infected. And so because you're making less trips, it should really help you to plan and you can get everything you need and you can prepare it in advance. I know we did that last time that we talked and I went and got a ton of stuff, you know, and we prepped stuff. We did like the sweet potatoes and diced them and put them in containers and put them in the fridge. So we were ready. We just pulled them out, you know, and got those ready. Did a lot of that kind of stuff. And so, yeah. What else would you kind of say in terms of just giving people some tips about that or some other practical steps to doing that?
Well, there's a couple different things that you can do when you're planning. Number one, I like planning and knowing everything, especially when it comes to dinner,
Mm.
what we're having for dinner. And that way, and we actually have a menu board in our kitchen. And so the kids are like, oh, what are we having for dinner tonight? And so there's like actually no question anymore because it's already out there. They're like,
Wow.
oh, it's Tuesday, we're having tacos. I mean, that's actually written on the board, tacos, and I never have to erase it because we have it every Tuesday.
Taco Tuesday.
Taco Tuesday, it's the best. But the other thing that you can do is I'll call it multitask or multi prep, is either cutting and chopping everything in advance and or roasting things off, having things prepared, and it's like kind of cooking once, eating 2 or 3 times. So like say you're grilling off chicken breasts on Wednesday, and then you have extra for the next day so you can have a salad or a wrap for lunch, you know. So it's a way that you could not have to be actually in the kitchen so much, because that's the other biggest thing is this, you know, whether the mom or dad or whoever's the cooker in the house, it's like it starts to get a little bit annoying, all this cooking and prepping and preparing. And if you kind of have that plan, you kind of know what it is. And, you know, I'm a big fan of cooking once, eating 2 to 3 times.
I think that's great advice. Absolutely. So one thing that you know people take for granted is sleep and how powerful sleep is and how essential it is. And I know that for me during this time, because I have you know less stuff going on in terms of you know paperwork and all that stuff, I've actually been able to get more sleep during this time. But it still takes discipline. I find myself wanting to stay up, knowing that I don't have to be at work, you know, right at 8:45 or 8:30 the next morning. And so I tend to stay up late. And so for a while there, at the beginning of all this, I was getting less sleep than average. So why don't
Right.
you talk a little bit about that, Amy, and just the just essential nature of getting sleep and maybe some different things about the amount of sleep we should be getting and those types of things.
Got it. Well, the most important thing to remember about sleep is, what does sleep actually do for us? And sleep is rest and restoration, and our body makes anew. The purpose of sleep is for our body to actually fix and repair stuff. So that's the purpose of sleep, is to really get our body to rest, restore, and renew. And that's what's so important about it. The little idiosyncrasies about it is if you're not getting enough, or you're restless, or for women, if you're waking up in night sweats and hot flashes, there's so many different reasons that can cause our sleep to be disturbed. That whole saying about weight loss and not eating before you go to bed, there's a little bit of a misnomer to that. Eating right before you go to bed can actually means that that whole blood supply is going your stomach to break down and digest food, and it can't rest, restore, and repair.
Right.
And that's the most important part, is you got to kind of figure out your own pattern, and everybody's pattern is a little bit different. So saying that everybody needs to go to bed at 10 and get up at 7 is not necessarily what works for some people. It's okay if you sleep a little bit later, or teenagers. I mean, who can figure out teenagers?
Right.
But it's making sure that you get anywhere between 6 to 8. Some people only need 6, and that's okay. But if you don't feel well, you need more than 6. Or
Right.
if it's restless, or if you're suddenly snoring, or you're so tired all the time, that's one of the things that you got to look at. Does it need to be cold? Does it need to be hot? But being on a regular schedule is absolutely essential in making sure that you're getting enough sleep.
Absolutely. Yeah. Or if you have small kids that are,
Well,
in the room in a bassinet or in the crib, or they're coming into bed with you. I know we struggle with that pretty frequently with one of ours getting up and coming into bed in the middle of the night. And thankfully she usually cuddles up next to my wife and kicks her for a couple hours in the morning. But yeah, absolutely.
yeah,
So,
I thought I was one of those. So I have 3 kids too, but mine are a little bit older. Mine are 18, 16, and 14. And I don't believe I slept for the first, 6 years of their life, because I was nursing all of my kids, or one would
right,
wake up, and when you didn't want the other to wake up the other one, it was a little bit chaotic. And it
it can be a
definitely
little bit.
caused some stress for me. And getting back onto that regular sleep pattern was essential.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's so important. And, the emphasis of that can't be stressed enough. That's just another one of the determinants of being truly healthy, which is what we're trying to get at. We're not just trying to be outside of the doctor's office because we're not all the way sick. It's, our health is the spectrum, is this continuum. And so maybe all the way over here, you're in the doctor's office or the hospital, but it's like, can you get yourself over to here? Well, yeah, you can, with the right decisions and the right
Right.
daily disciplines and the right planning, to not just be here on the doorstep, but be truly healthy. So
Right.
that's great.
And
So
and that's so important. That's just such an important point. Is one of the things is to believe that when you give your body all the right tools, it can heal itself. So
absolutely.
chronic disease does not have to be an end all be all. You can reverse diabetes. You can reverse high blood pressure. You can reverse this stuff. It's not once you have it, that's it, and that's all said and done. Your body can do amazing things.
Absolutely. Yeah. And obviously we see all the same things, people who've
Yeah.
had headaches or migraines for years, people who've had lower back pain for years that's chronic, and they think, well, this is just what I have to have. Or, even, when we're decompressing nerves through chiropractic treatment, there's things where we see great outcomes with digestive issues, and,
Yeah.
women with menstrual cramping, and
Right.
even men with erectile dysfunction and things like that. And thyroid issues, we see an improvement in these things. We're not always curing them completely, but we see changes and we see improvement over time with regular care. So let's
Yeah,
jump
that
on.
that whole blood circulation. The better your blood circulates, the better everything works. And for
Absolutely.
sleep and water and fruits and vegetables and good healthy fats, and getting the nerves functioning like they're supposed to, your body aligned like it's supposed to be aligned. I mean, how your foot hits the ground every single day. So important.
Absolutely. Nice. So let's jump into the next thing here. You talked about, being aware of emotional eating, and that's probably a big one for right
I don't know if everybody's seen that like whole statement where somebody has a refrigerator open and says, "You're just bored, you're not hungry, close me up."
now. Right.
That's one of the things that I love about, this time, is that this is a great time when we can learn about ourselves. What are some things that we want to do to change? What can we do differently? Whatnot? I grew up in a humongous Italian family, and food was everywhere. It's all about family gathering, and food is fun, never says no, never talks back to you. It always tastes good, and it's always there. but does it help you to reach your health goals? And that's where you have to ask yourself, it's okay to have a cookie every once in a while. It's okay to have some chips every once in a while. But if you're eating them for the wrong reason, that's what needs to change. So if you're hungry, it's okay to eat foods that are not that great for you, especially when you're focusing on the other 80 to 90% of your diet. It's that, are you eating it because you're stressed, because you're bored, because you're tired? Why are you choosing those foods? That emotional component to it. And now is that perfect time to ask yourself that question. And well, am I really hungry, or am I eating this because I'm bored? One of the things I love to do is that, just drink a glass of water. And then if you're really hungry, then you'll still be hungry after you drink that glass of water. Really learning, are you hungry, or is there something else going on? Are your kids totally driving you absolutely bonkers? And that chocolate cake seems like a really good option right now.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I think that's all so well said. And there definitely is an emotional component, a psychological component. Even I know that when I've done things like intermittent fasting, or just done fasting for health reasons, or because I have things I'm praying about, and it's more of a spiritual, mental, clarity thing. The hardest time to be fasting is always right at that like normal meal time, and so it's like you're kind of like, you're more hungry during that lunch hour, you're more hungry during that dinner hour, but when that time passes and you've done something else with your time, it's all of a sudden you're like, oh, I'm okay, I'm not that hungry. And we are among few places in the entire world where people are eating regularly 3 meals a day, let alone all the snacking that we do in between. And you wonder why obesity is such a problem in our country, and why heart disease and all these other inflammatory diseases are such a problem in our country. A lot of that has to do with just overeating and eating
Right.
the wrong stuff. So,
Right. And
all right, let's go.
it's always multifactorial, and it's always about a whole bunch of different things. But that, again, coming back to that whole like empowerment, learning what your body's cues are, listening to that. And I think one of the things that both chiropractic care and very, very common in functional nutrition is
Mm,
a reset diet, and using a little bit of fasting in there or whatnot, is
yes.
all these tools, again, to give your body the things that it needs to heal itself. And that when you've overcome that emotional part, it helps you to decipher why you're choosing to do what you're doing, which is, when you overcome that, it's pretty powerful.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you for reiterating that. I think that's so important for people to hear. So let's talk a little bit about supplements. This would be number 9 on our list of 10 of the top 10 things that you can be doing to boost your vitality so that you can thrive, not just survive, and optimize your immune system during this time. So, Amy, why don't you talk to us a little bit about supplements and what to look for and what to avoid and all that stuff.
All right. So first and foremost, the biggest thing to understand about supplements is, number one, our supplements are just that. They are meant to supplement a healthy, whole food, plant-centered diet.
Right.
And when you look at supplements, the goal of supplements, there's a couple different theories. There's one end over here of what we eat doesn't make a difference. We all know that's stupid. And
Right.
there's over here of people who use extreme diets for things. Where supplements come into place, they're kind of, there's kind of two thought processes behind supplements. Is that supplements can, that you have to take over and over and over again, like medicine do. Or then there's another component here of supplements that actually help your body to get and do what it needs to do to help kind of reverse what's going on. There's things called adaptogens.
Right.
There's all sorts of these supplements that are out there that have such a beneficial point. You should not have to take a buttload of supplements every single day to be healthy. Shouldn't have to do it. There's a few foundational things that you should use to bridge the gap between what we're doing and we're not doing. But for the most part, the majority of supplements that you take, and I'll use, for instance, right now, the biggest thing is immune boosters. So you have astragalus, echinacea, mushroom blends, all these stuff. You should not want to or take any one of those supplements for an extended period of time, because what that does is overcharge your immune system. And that's actually the very core of autoimmune issues.
Absolutely. Yeah,
So,
so
so
true.
then there's a lot of little factors that you have to play in. One is when you're going to take supplements, please, 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 please get with somebody who is knowledgeable and educated about how supplements are supposed to be used. There are pharmaceutical grade supplements that are out there, meaning that there are companies that produce supplements that I know exactly what's in the capsules in the capsule. And we're going to reiterate some of those nutrients that we talked about in the first steps with this C, D, E, and vitamin A, are kind of those three keys that you're hearing a lot about in the media. Zinc especially, because it helps the antiviral load.
Right.
These are things that you should not have to take all the time. But during this time when we're, under a lot more stress, where maybe we're not getting enough in our nutrition, it's a great time for our body to basically fight it, and to fight the viruses and whatnot. But you want to make sure, so for instance, I have two examples of vitamin C here. So I have a company here, it's called Phytonutrients, and a company called Integrative Therapeutics.
Mm-hmm.
I know what's in the capsule is in the capsule. I know that each of these has 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C. If you go to the regular drugstore and pull 20 different vitamin C's off the shelf, you could pull one off there that may not even actually have vitamin C in there, because the supplement industry is not regulated. So the reason why healthcare providers carry supplements is not to sell you, but is to make sure that you're getting what you need and you're getting quality supplements, because there needs to be a little bit more control over the industry.
Absolutely. I think, and maybe what you're meaning to say is, that what's on the label is what's in the bottle.
Yes, correct.
Because yeah, there's and anybody who's looking for more information on this type of thing, there's actually something that came out. I think it was done by the Canadian Parliament a number of years ago, called NutriSearch. You're probably familiar with this, Amy.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And a lot of different companies are rated in terms of the supplements, and what their purity is like, what the completeness is like. Whether what's in the bottle is reflected accurately on the label, how the potency is, and then just the different, overall systems. And so a lot of multivitamins are rated in this catalog, and I believe it's available online as well.
Yep.
I know that there's a lot of things that you can pick up from Walgreens and Walmart, or even some of the mainstream things like Centrum and whatnot, or, Costco, a lot of Costco brand supplements. We were pumping Costco up the other day, but a lot of those are 1 star, or they're 1.5 stars out of 5, and so there's definitely a lot out there that is just not quality, and it's rice and beans in those supplements pretty much, or it's an inactive form of a vitamin that will do you nothing good. And so I think that that's so important, Amy. So I know one of the brands that you're very passionate about too, that you've done a lot of research with, and you've used to really help a lot of people, is Juice Plus. And
Yes.
A lot of you out there have probably heard of Juice Plus. I've heard of it over the years, and only recently Amy's turned me on to looking into more of it and seeing the research behind it and all that as well. So why don't you just talk a little bit about those supplements too, Amy?
All right, so I'm going to kind of give you an example here. One of the things that I like to do when I look up when I look up supplements for myself, is I want to make sure purity, potency, and bioavailability, meaning that when I take something, does it get into the system and do good things happen? So for the last 11 years, my family has been taking a product called Juice Plus, and what it is fruits, vegetables, and berries in a capsule and a yummy gummy form for kids. I hide my gummies. I hide the gummies because one time when my son was 5, he's now 16, almost 17, he ate an entire bag.
Yeah.
So I walked into my office this morning, and the bag that was full the next day was empty the next day. And which was great because it tastes good, but it was really expensive for him to use an entire bag in one day. But the cool part about it is it's just fruits and vegetables in a capsule. So what differentiates Juice Plus from anything on the market is it's got a nutrition facts label, not a supplement facts label. So when I actually look at the label, it's got a nutrition facts, meaning it is food in a capsule. So they took the step to make sure that it's actually food in a capsule. What we've noticed since taking it is that I used to get 2 chronic sinus infections a year, every spring, every fall. I haven't been on an antibiotic in 10 years. My husband is an Ironman triathlete. He recovers faster from his workouts, and my kids almost never get sick, or when they do get sick, it's very short-lived. So it has been just a great asset to us, because even though we try to get 7 to 13 servings of fruits and vegetables a day, we don't.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I think that it's really important for a lot of you to understand too. There are things that, in order to get truly healthy, some of these things that you need to shop for, switching over to organic when it comes to things that are in, kind of the dirty dozen. If you look that up, you can see there's certain things that you are going to have to spend more money on. It's going to take more of an investment. But even, and when it comes to quality supplements too, like this, you need to think about what the cost is going to be of inaction. What's going to be the cost if you don't do these things? Not just, hey, it's going to cost you a little bit more, every time you go to the grocery store, a little bit more monthly. If you have, kind of an auto order with a supplement company like Juice Plus, it's very, very high quality and geared towards health, and it's not full of synthetics, and it's whole foods. What is the cost if you don't do it, later on, in your life? And, think about that, as well as just the obvious inherent benefits that there are. What is the cost going to be to me later if I don't take care of this now?
Right.
So,
Right.
yeah,
I
absolutely.
actually added it when we very first started. We added it to our food budget as opposed to my kind of supplement budget, because it's food in a capsule. And the coolest thing that I think that I've seen, especially with my kids actually eat more fruits and vegetables when they're taking it,
Interesting.
which is so awesome. And I feel amazing that my kids are getting, and that we are getting, lots of plant nutrients and we know that it works because it's backed by research. There are actually 38 clinical studies done with Juice Plus to make sure it gets into the system and that really good things happen.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's so important. And I think that that just goes to show you that when you do start to put the right things in your body craves more of it,
Yep.
and we won't get into this here, but, we could talk for a long time about how when you're eating things that are, they're either sugary or they break down like sugar, things like very simple carbs, like the white bread, white
Right.
rice, the whiter the bread, the sooner you're dead, they say. It's like,
That's a good one.
that's a good one, right? But it's like, when your body gets used to that, and then there's all this overgrowth of yeast in your gut, and it makes you
Yeah.
desire more and more and more of that, right?
Right.
Because so much of what happens in your gut feeds forward into your nervous system and your immune system, and even just emotionally how you think about things, and these neurotransmitters that play into this. And so when you start putting the right things in, your body desires more of that. And
Right.
so that's such a good point. So that brings us to point number 10 out of 10 of our top 10 things that you can do to optimize your health, improve your vitality, and get your nervous system working the way that it was designed. So what's number 10, Amy?
Number 10 is de-stress and laugh more. So powerful for your immune system to get your body doing what it needs to do, is just to stress a little bit more, stress a little bit less. Think about positivity, live in gratitude. There's so many, this is a tough time for a lot of people, and you can choose to either make yourself miserable, or you can choose to and be grateful for some of the things that are happening. Our environment is loving this right now. So there's a lot of really good things that are happening. Kids, having more family meals, cooking more in the kitchen, but de-stressing is so important, because it's that stress that just eats away at the system, causes that. We talk a lot about gut and gut function. Stress is probably the leading cause of leaky gut.
Yeah.
Um,
Yep.
yeah, it's it does so many things. And laughter, just smiling produces chemicals in your brain that make you feel good. And just smiling when something is so, like, you're under a huge stressor, just smile and see what happens. Amazing things happen, and it just is beautiful for your immune system.
Absolutely. So important, all those things. So important. So a couple things in closing. Amy, why don't you just give, you kind of had listed here just a few of the bare minimum things that people should be thinking about supplementing. I just want to track
Yep.
back in terms
Yep.
of vitality of your immune system right now during this time. There's really, a couple things that you really need to make sure that you're getting at a bare minimum. So I'm going to have
Yep.
you go over those, Amy, and then we'll kind of close off here. And actually, I'll just have you do both things. Why don't you just tell people quickly how they can get a hold of you to do some nutritional counseling and anything else. Like Amy offers even cooking classes and grocery store tours and just a wide variety of things to help improve your overall health. So why don't you just go over those couple things and then we'll close here.
Right. So thanks so much, Dr. Nate. So again, the name of my company is called Fit Nut for Life, and my office is in Barrington. But I'm very mobile. I can work just about anywhere. I do over the phone. I do a lot of telehealth. I can do any of that kind of stuff. And remember, my goal is to help you to build your toolbox based off of what your goals are and what you're trying to do and how you're trying to improve your health. And that there's no magic pill in regards to that. So
right.
As you're trying to right now, if you're like, you're trying to get your immune system working, you want to go to the grocery store and not feel like, you're a germaphobe, what are some things that you can do to protect yourself? Is number one is, try to eat more fruits and vegetables. We can talk about that. I'm doing a cooking demo next Wednesday. Connect to Fit Nut for Life. Like me on Facebook. You'll be able to see that I'm doing a garbage meal. So it'll be kind of fun, like how to take all the leftover things that you have before you're ready to go to the grocery store and use that quinoa that's in your pantry that you've had and that you've wanted to try but haven't yet. Supplement wise, get good high quality supplements. If you need more information on that, I'm happy to help you. Dr. Nate has actually some that he carries in his office too. Vitamin C, vitamin D, zinc, core foundation, but that very, very foundational, what you should be doing on an everyday basis. I'm a firm believer that Juice Plus has made a difference in my life and the life of so many others. Yeah. And it's something I will eat for the rest of my life because it just makes sense. And it's good stuff. So with that, Dr. Nate?
Absolutely. Well, hey, thank you so much again for being on here, Amy. I know that a lot of people have benefited from this, including myself. My cart looked different at the grocery store after we spoke a couple weeks ago. And, it's just, this is the time where, people like Amy and I, we know what we're doing and we care about all of you. And it's our job. We want to lead you during this time. We don't want to just see people surviving and going back to the status quo. This is such an important time where I think so many of you are reevaluating health and reevaluating your belief system about health. And so we want to help lead you in this. We want to help take you by the hand and lead you every step of the way. Yep. We care about you so much. We have your best interests in mind and we want to see you thrive, not just survive. So again, thank you so much, Amy. And, maybe we'll do a talk about adrenal fatigue sometime here or
I would be totally on board with that. That would be great.
Yeah, such an honor to have you. So thank you so much, everybody. And stay tuned here. If you haven't done so already, you can like the Thrive with Dr. Nate VIP page. And then say your page one more time, Amy. I believe it's
Fit Nut for Life. So Fit Nut for, the number 4, life is my Facebook page. Please like it. Follow me on Instagram. I do have a web page. All good stuff.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, everybody.
Thanks
we will
again.
talk to you soon. And again, go ahead and continue to thrive, not just survive.